Good evening, friends, and welcome to FCTV's Poetic License, April 25th, 2024. This is an open mic where we share live, original poetry, prose, and acoustic music. My name is Donna Shear, and I am your host. The suggested theme for tonight is nature, but I want to start off by reading a quote from Alice Kachemba. She was one of the founding members of FCTV back in 2019, and this is what she had to say. Poetry is an auditory art. What is spoken becomes shared. Both the reader and the listener find the poem more meaningful when it's read to an audience. Quite simply, the power of poetry is that it brings us together. And of course, because one of FCTV's goals is to have good communication at all times, I highly applaud that. So, hello out there in television audience. We are so happy you found your way to our new public channel, Channel 6. FCTV has so much to offer our community. Word has gotten out. A new Citizen of the Year has been unanimously chosen by the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce. You may read his weekly column in the Falmouth Enterprise, or maybe you know him from the many good works that he does year-round in this town. His name is Troy Clarkson, and we want to send him a huge, well-deserved congratulations. If you like to learn, FCTV offers an extensive list of classes. To name a few: interview techniques, intro to podcasting, after-school classes called Youth Producers, where teens learn lessons in media literacy and television production, as well as honing their skills in teamwork and critical thinking. Some classes are free. Many are offered at a reduced rate for members. You can find the information at fctv.org under the category Learn. Speaking of members, I encourage you to become a member of the FCTV family. It's a fine way to support FCTV. A single membership is still only $35 annually. This helps support this amazing nonprofit organization. So now on with the show. Hello, performers. Nice to see the chairs filled tonight. We do have a 4-minute time limit, and I'll introduce you by name, but please repeat your name before you begin. And we do have one new performer tonight. When she comes up, we give her a really big applause because it takes courage to share and come and be on a live mic. We really appreciate newcomers. So I'm going to start us off with a poem. Some days, my patio is a circus of squirrels. They seem to be everywhere. And this poem was used as an insert in my holiday cards last year. It's called Stilled. Stilled. Only the eyes move. I am a statue on the front porch, shorn up by summer, memories stored up for the winter. Stillness rewarded with a woodland chorus. Turkeys gargle in the puddles. Tree birds teach their songs in endless loops. A squirrel approaches, his frizzled tail attached like a question mark. On the porch post, he touches one tiny claw to his heart, feels it rush, then quivers when I blink. The next day, he returns, rests fear-free on the railing, eyes crimped shut, a Buddha stilled by meditation. He has much to teach me. And now I'd like to welcome Wayne Stook to the microphone. He's got his guitar and he's going to serenade us.
How was that? Good. I'm Wayne Stook. I'm back again to frighten people with my lyrics on nature. I'm consumed with news all the time, so there's a lot of stuff that comes from news in here, and then there's a little bit of me sort of at the end, so this is how it goes. They say the sea is gonna rise. The earth is getting warmer. Our fossil fuel consumption seems to hasten our demise. We have the technology to help Mother Nature heal, but corporation profits and good old human greed seems to be our human nature. I guess we've sealed the deal. Speed of transport may be a wonderful thing, but the price tag on higher speed may be too high a cost. We get less peace and quiet, and less healthy crops, polluted land, animals, and less birds that sing. When environmental news is sad and frightening, in a city you won't find me. You'll need to check the wooded trails and mountain slopes and sandy beaches, that's where I'll be. Oh, to fly like a bird, run fast like a cheetah, or swim like a fish under the deep blue sea. That fantasy is my wish. I'm always in awe of Mother Nature, but she'll have the last laugh when the last hardly breathing humans, rocketing to another home in another place, will be long gone from this rock in space. So let's pick up our trash and recycle the waste. Maybe Mother Nature will extend our lease on this place. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. You gave us a landscape of what climate change is doing to our world. And I hope, like anything, that Mother Nature doesn't have the last laugh. Because we won't be laughing with her if she does. Thank you. That was very timely. How could I forget that Sue Beth Carlson was up next? Come on up, sweetie. Do you need the chair? Okay.
So April is National Poetry Month, and it is the month when we have Earth Day. And it is, I believe it's a New Year's for that we might hear about later. And it's the beginning of springtime, and it's also when my birthday is. So April is a wonderful month. There was a barred owl in my backyard one morning. Now, barred owl spelled B-A-R-R-E-D. And barred owls were residents of old, undisturbed forests in eastern North America. The barred owl is a nocturnal, well-camouflaged, and like most nocturnal birds, seldom seen by people as it rests quietly in daylight. It is thus visually very uncommon, so I felt really privileged that it decided to land in my backyard. The barred owl symbolizes protection, happiness, peacemaking, vision and intuition, and sacred knowledge. And this poem is called A Barred Owl, only that bard is spelled B-A-R-D. All it has to do is look at you with a swivel of its head, and you know. A barred owl sends messages without words. Its sounds are a melody waiting to hear your song, and your song, already playing in the rhythm of your heart, resonates with the wings of the barred owl as it ascends. And I've got one more short poem for you. This one has a little story about it. So let's see. So I was going to somebody's house for dinner, and I didn't know them very well, and then we were going to play music on their back deck overlooking their garden. And I thought, what can I bring for a gift? So I made a card with this on the front of it, and then on the back of it was this poem. And here's the poem. Nature in Concert. I sing to an audience of flowers. Birds join in chorus as chipmunks pause in prayer for the moment to thank God for the song. And after I gave them that card, we went out on the deck to play music. And this is what we saw. This little chipmunk, and I'll show you another picture of him. And he was posing. He was there for a good 5 to 10 minutes, posing just like that. And it was just amazing to me that he was posing for the poem I had just given them earlier, and I had no, I didn't pay him to do that. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. So cute. Let's see. Elaine Robinson. Hello, hello.
So most of you have listened to my poems of fantasy. The other topic that I write very often about is nature. So when you said tonight was nature, I said, wow. I could be here all night with nature poems. And as usual, sometimes the fantasy creeps into nature as well. So you might get a little bit of both tonight. 5 short poems of different parts of, well, different animals mostly. The first one here, when I returned home from a zoo where I witnessed an elephant painting, this came about, popped up. This is called Emily's Painting. She is an artist of modern technique, an elephant who paints quite oblique. Emily's work goes to the auction. Her painting is treated with caution. Her trunk creates the coveted prize as humans watch with eyes so wide. God's creatures have talents to share. Come to the zoo, see the elephant art fair. So, pretty amazing. That's all. Okay, next one. This is the blue squirrel. Blue is a hue that touches me through and through. So to see a fluffy tail with this color of the sky takes my imagination to a new high. In the season of red, orange, yellow, blue, this forest acorn consumer enhances my view. And that came about, I had a squirrel in my yard, I swear he looked blue to me. So that came about. Fireflies. Stars up high, rhythm of the night, golden critters bounce in flight. Nocturnal fairies emit bright light, children chase in wondrous delight. Darkness brings the opposite of daydreams, a live fantasy, a heavenly theme. Wings of joy, happiness all wrapped in one. Fireflies dance before the arrival of the sun. And definitely fireflies can inspire a poem. Okay, next. Okay, scene in my yard. Rise of the buttercups. Out for my daily walk, they are all over. Sunshine-inspired petals of warmth, pulling me down to their world, laughing at my human form, popping up through sticks, grass, and around the occasional beer can. We are here, shouts at me. I admire their perseverance, returning yearly to consume me as I journey along with nature. Rise of the buttercups signals that life goes on into the realm of squirrels, dragonflies, and other wildness around my home. They embrace my lawn as if to say, all is ours. Yellowness speaks. We are the flowers. So, yeah, everywhere. I love them. So, and then lastly, I can't get away from this one, of course, magical seahorse. Horse's head, dragon's tail, friend of the enormous whale. Leviathan sinks pirate ship, your magic thoughts let loot slip. Your scales glisten in the blue-green sea, man's trash turns to stars of glee. A mythical, magical, little dad of so many, babies you birth, you are more than a nanny. Warm water carries you to homes of coral, where you sit, eating shrimp. How royal. That's it. Okay.
Thank you, Elaine. I love that firefly one. I can't wait until they come back. I can't wait. Also, I've seen videos about elephants who paint, and it's just fascinating. They also can play the piano, but Mr. John Jackson, the Limerick Man.
That's better. My name is John Jackson, and as I usually do, I have some political limericks, although I've got a few less than usual this month, and I'll tell you why. Salesman. A witch hunt he blows and he billows, as he pays for his peccadillos. To pay fines, he is liable to sell sneakers and Bibles, when there's opportunity to be selling pillows. Boom, boom, out go the lights. Evangelicals might have us believe the eclipse is when God says to leave. If they're enraptured or otherwise captured, they won't vote, so I will not grieve. Juice. The running back we all used to love has gone to his reward up above. Who should he meet at the gate but St. Pete, holding an ill-fitting glove? Tit for tactics. Iran struck with missiles and drones. Iran could use all arms it owns, but retaliation was like a very small strike, like David launching very small stones. Tiger, tiger. A Florida man did conspire to ignite his own funeral pyre, and now he is dead. It fills me with dread to think Floridians have discovered fire. Turning over the compost. The House passed for funding Ukraine. Of course, Gates and Green will complain. It could be the swan song of Speaker Mike Johnson, and they'll be speakerless again. And my favorite of the month. First witness, first case on the docket. David Pecker caught stories and would lock it. Charged a high rate to shield the candidate who couldn't keep Pecker in pocket. Complaining is campaigning. One thing that he isn't is diffident. His modus operandi, belligerent. No one is exempt from the Donald's contempt, so why should court be any different? Now, I have a story to tell you. I'm going to run over the 4 minutes, I'm sorry. And the theme of the month is nature, and this has nothing to do with nature. Titled, How I Came to Have 20-Year-Old Twinkies. Quote, never let the truth get in the way of a good story, end quote. Cynthia Patterson Hill. This story is, as are many good stories, about a mother-in-law. I first met Cynthia when a college buddy asked if I could fill in as a fourth for bridge. Cynthia was his boss when he was working a summer job as a janitor in Boston. Cynthia found out he played and reeled him into her game. She had a daughter, Ellen, a single mother also living in Boston. This led to that, and that's another story. Many years later, when Ellen was getting a divorce from someone else, Cynthia told her, whatever you do, don't call John Jackson. Ellen did anyway. Eventually, Cynthia found me worthy of her daughter, as did her daughter. This led to that, and that's another story. This story is about Twinkies. As a food, Twinkies leave much to be desired, such as nutrition and taste. One time, near the end of the 20th century, Cynthia was on a course of prednisone, a steroid used to treat her chronic asthma. One side effect of prednisone is the hungry horrors. She declared to all present, I'm so hungry I could eat a Twinkie. And that leads to this, and this is the story. Both Cynthia and Ellen had argued that Twinkies are not food, so being hungry enough to eat a Twinkie set the bar really high. Cynthia moved to Arizona not long after, and in 2001, Ellen and I took my two young sons out for a visit. We had a marvelous time. First time in an airplane or a hotel for the boys. Grand Canyon, a Wild West saloon, Frank Lloyd Wright studio. Some mischance had me at a pharmacy for nothing too serious, so I purchased a box of Twinkies. When Cynthia was off with Ellen the next day, the boys and I hid the Twinkies cleverly about the apartment. One went into a bottle in the spice rack. One was left vertically amongst the books. Back home, Ellen called Cynthia to say we had arrived safely. Cynthia reported that she had found a Twinkie. One Twinkie out of a dozen. I heard sporadic reports of Twinkies found for weeks. Not long after, Cynthia made the same mistake that her daughter did and called an old acquaintance. This led to that, and that's another story. She moved to Virginia to be with Arthur Hill. She found the last of the Twinkies when she packed up her Arizona apartment. Or did she? The boys and I festooned Arthur's condo with Twinkies on our first visit there, much to Arthur's bewilderment. At some point, Twinkies started crossing in the mail. Wrapped in pants, wrapped in books, wrapped in an official Twinkie, the Kid Twinkie box. On April 22nd, 2004, Cynthia packed up a box of Twinkies and sent it to me in Groton, Massachusetts. That's the date on the shipping label. I can safely say that these are 20-year-old Twinkies. As Bugs Bunny said, of course you realize this means war. Around the time that Tom Kirkman, a friend, claims that Al Gore invented the internet, I was involved in an internet chat room, what passed for social media of the day. I asked my friends if they would help me by sending Cynthia Twinkies from around the world. Some didn't have Twinkies where they were, so they sent the local equivalent. Cynthia and Arthur started getting small packages, mostly Twinkies, some other type cheap snack cakes from Australia or New Zealand, 1 tin of Spotted Dick from the UK. One participant reported that she had wrapped up and addressed a box, but when she got to the post office, she found that she had left it behind on the New York subway. Post 9/11, she figured it would have been taken by the bomb squad. So she sent another. Both packages of New York City Twinkies arrived. I can just hear Arthur wondering, just what the heck is going on? Eventually, the whole Twinkie mania between myself and Cynthia petered out. The occasional Twinkie book or Christmas tree ornament would pass hands, but the U.S. Postal Service would be free of these not-food packages. Ellen and I pondered what to do with that box of Twinkies from April 2004. We intended to create a calendar of non-food things to do with Twinkies. Pictures of Twinkies used as bumpers on sharp corners, spacers between the toes at a pedicure, pin cushions, but we never got around to it. For 3 years, we thought about creating a calendar in January when we should have thought about it in September. The story peters out. The box remained in the pantry. In 2021, we sold the house in Groton. As with Cynthia moving out of Arizona, when we emptied the house, we found the Twinkies. They made it to Falmouth and, for lack of anything better, went to our pantry area. And here they are, as questionably good as new. Thank you.
Thanks, John. You know, there are two kinds of people, those who eat Twinkies and those who don't. I would never eat that particular Twinkie. How old is it? Is it 25 years old?
I have something to say about Twinkies. I will tell you off camera.
Okay. See you later. Okay. I also love the fact that you used the word peccadillos in one of your limericks. You never hear that word in a poem. That was awesome. Patricia Austin, come on up. We have missed you so much. We're so glad to see you back here.
I'm actually very happy to be here. All righty. And I didn't bring anything, so if I don't remember this, I don't know what'll happen. Yeah, just make it up. That's what'll happen. Okay, so anyway, nature. Now I have said a lot of things in the past couple of years, is it now, about nature. But this is maybe a different take, and I think it goes very well with your song. There are spiritual traditions that believe the earth to be a sentient being, and her name is Gaia. So this poem is written in response to all the oil spills. It's called Gaia's Choice. The warmth of the cold world. Innocence protected by the cold. Too cold for the good and evil makers to bear, unless cloaked in pressurized armor, and then only for small parcels of time. And so we watch and think we know, but miss completely the sweetness of untampered nature. That is, until our capacity to destroy has grown so hot that we sting the depths with our huge intrusion, reaching even into the quiet, sacred, cloistered, coldness. When does the earth cry foul? When does she who loves us as herself, of which we are, say too much? The choice is too much to bear. All creatures are alive and expressions of my soul. I must let you go, so that the truth of the tiniest can be heard, despite the falsehood of your abandonment. Our covenant is life, yet you deny its existence. Gaia's choice. What will she say? Perhaps, have it your way. One more for the road. The road winds through the grove of old-growth trees, still allowed to be, remembering the others who are no more, their space now open to the path of travel. Could they see their fate as they looked into the future? Did they know that they would fall to remake the present? Trees washed away in the wave of progress, felled for the road. One more for the road. Okay, now I have to decide here. What am I doing? I'm going to try something, and I'm not sure. I just kind of sort of wrote this not that long ago, so I'm not sure I know it. So let's just see. This is called Future Whisper. Did anyone notice the day there was no bird call? In the forever squabble, it simply wasn't there, and no one noticed. Well, we were never really part of nature, and it was sort of in our way anyway. But it is kind of eerie. The only sounds, cars and trucks and construction banging, distant TVs and electronic noise, shouts and laughter from bars, along with occasional yelling. No birds, no squirrels' screams. No bees buzzing around plants, because there are no plants. Everything we need has been industrialized, so no one has to worry or bother about sustenance. And since that's the only reason nature existed, and since we can do it ourselves, who needs it? Like that pesky concept of God. Who needs it? We saw it coming. A future whisper. So why am I so sad?
so many names for Mother Earth. Um, the line that stuck in my head was our capacity to destroy. And I just, when I was in college, I remember when the Cuyahoga River caught fire because of all the pollution that had been thrown in, mostly from companies. But we talk about nature, and a lot of things that spill out have to do with the destruction of nature, and I think that's a good thing to keep in our minds because nothing will happen unless we think about it and do something. So, thank you for that. Ellen Todd, hello, my dear.
I'm Ellen Todd, and this is a lot easier subject for me to write about than last month's subject of siblings. Over the past several years, I've seen a lot of articles by mental health professionals and researchers touting the benefits of nature on people's mental health. I think I've been aware of this on a personal level for most of my life. My friends and family know that I've loved gardening since I was a very little girl when I would help my grandparents in their extensive garden. You might ask why I'm talking about gardens rather than nature, but a garden is, in many ways, simply assisted nature, especially if one avoids the use of pesticides and herbicides. The soil is full of life, from worms to beneficial beetles and less desirable Japanese beetle larvae. Despite the presence of some unwelcome guests, I have always loved getting my hands into the soil, my bare hands into the garden soil. If I start off in a good place, I'm even better after playing in the dirt. And if I have unpleasant emotions, I can feel the anger, frustration, or anxiety drain away into the soil, leaving me better able to face the problems at hand. For some reason, those negative feelings that drained away don't damage the plants growing as much as they would have damaged me. That garden soil still produces beautiful vegetables and flowers. But there's a different kind of beauty in nature when it's not manipulated by man. I recall waking early when summering on Cape Ann to walk on the beach before anyone else intruded on the early morning quiet, or sitting on east-facing rocks to watch the sunrise. When we were at home, I could sleep as late as any teenager, but those early moments of quiet taught me that it was possible to find inner peace even when my home life was often far from peaceful. As an adult, I've been lucky to travel and visit botanical gardens, state parks, and national parks. Although I love seeing spectacular gardens, I also try to visit unspoiled places. One of my favorites is in rural Arizona. The Tonto Natural Bridge State Park includes a narrow trail that descends to the bottom of a canyon. The only signs of man are the narrow trail worn by the feet of many visitors and a boardwalk that allows safe passage over rocks that are wet from a waterfall that flows over the towering Travertine Arch. Along the paths and under the waterfall are wildflowers, desert columbine, golden columbine, and firecracker penstemon, and others. I have visited this site 3 times, and I've always felt something sacred here. Only once was my visit interrupted by a group of loud tourists, but they soon left, leaving me and my companions to enjoy the peace of a spot where there seems to be only a thin divide between our world and another. I've felt that same sense of sacredness in other places. I hope that I will continue to visit new places with a quietness that allows me to recognize the sacred in other spots of nature. Absorbing the stillness of these sacred spots helps me to find the inner peace that I first recognized in my adolescence.
Thanks, Helen. So nice to hear about your gardening, and so beautiful to talk about unspoiled places. How often do we see those anymore? Observing, what did you say? Observing the sacred. Observing the sacred. Thank you. Um, and now we have our newbie who's coming up. She's not a newbie to me. I've known her for a long time, but Kitty Hendricks is here. Let's give her a big round of applause. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna. My name is Kitty Hendricks Miller. I'm Mashpee Wampanoag, and I'm here to share a poem that my mother, Wabinetatu Gentle Wind, wrote many years ago. And it's special for me because I always thought it would make a really good children's book. But I'm going to read it tonight, first time I've ever read it in front of anyone. And it also brings me to this time of year, which is the Wampanoag New Year, when the herring return, when the ospreys return, when we start the cycle all over again with the planting of in the gardens and of all the new life and all the gifts that come to us in the spring. April. When I see riverbanks dusted with snow, I wonder, how do the herring know that the time is right for their perilous plight, the struggle upstream, perhaps at night? Tree toads start peeping while we're sleeping as scouts stand nearby. And as they scream, herring fill pond and stream. At dawn, seagulls begin to circle each river creature. Even slow turtle makes room for nature's annual yield. From ocean to sand dune, through boggy fields, full with offspring off to prey. Occasional wind gusts aid their journey. Tomorrow may be warm. The next day be cold, but nature plans well, and preparations unfold. There's much to combat along the way, and I wonder how many made it today.
So beautiful, Kitty. Thank you. It's how nice that the Wampanoags celebrate the New Year, especially in the springtime. What a great time of year for renewal, like you said, the osprey, the herring, and all of that. Thank you so much for being here. We hope we see you come back again. I'm going to get my papers. I do spend a lot of time looking at birds, bird watching, squirrel watching. There's a rabbit who lives in my garden. I let it because, there's enough for all of us. I also like Shinrin-yoku, which is the Japanese word for forest bathing. But this poem is about the ugly birds, and that's the title. Ugly birds. Since first light, a tom turkey tiptoes like an Egyptian around my yard. Long stemmed neck, red-tipped wattle, head wobble, an exotic flower. Absurd bird admires his reflection in the bumper of a black truck. His speech guttural, straining to be understood. I have known turkey men who gobble sweet nonsense in my ear. Authentic and so honestly ugly, they turn beautiful. You thought it was about turkeys, didn't you? All right. So tonight's edited performance will be shown on FCTV's Channel 6, also streamed on the FCTV website, YouTube, as well as via Roku and Apple TV. Friends out there, if you would like to be a performer on Poetic License, won't you please join us? The next Poetic License is Thursday, May 23rd, and the suggested theme is serendipity. Serendipity, doodah. The future theme for June 27th will be music, music, music. Okay, so even though we might have poetry and spoken word, hope we have a lot of music as well. You can sign up to be a performer by sending a text to our producer, Tony Sedera. His email is tony@fctv.org. Or we have some audience here tonight, which is wonderful. You can simply come to the studio on Dillingham Avenue at 6 o'clock the night of each live performance taping to enjoy being an audience member. Thank you, Tony, for being an awesome producer and editor. Thanks to our splendid camera crew. Thank you, performers. How kind of you to share all the wonderful things you had to share tonight. So, until we meet again, peace and shine on.